I blame myself.
So do I.
Well, no sense worrying about it now.
Why worry? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on his back.
Yep. Now let's get ready. Switch me on.
Well, that's great. Either I have a monster in my kitchen or I'm completely crazy.
I don't think you're crazy.
That makes me feel so much better. Are you the keymaster?
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
If the ionization rate is constant for all ectoplasmic entities, we could really bust some heads. In a spiritual sense, of course.
What is going on, Ghost Heads? I am here partnerless. Ted is watching the Spurs game, but that's okay. That's okay. I brought some special guests in with me, some hometown guests for me, Oregon Multnomah Greens. We have the Portland Ghostbusters in the house. James and Jonna, how you feeling?
Great.
Joanna. Let me correct myself. James and Joanna.
We're good.
Doing good.
Hell yeah. And Paul, the owner of the Ecto we saw in the commercial for Vacasa. How's it going, Paul?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome. So I'd like to start these things off in a way that's it's kind of subtle sometimes. But I want to like go extra for you guys because of how incredibly awesome the opportunity you guys just had was, and having even Ghost Corps involved with this project of Vacasa in the Portland Ghostbusters Firehouse hospitality attraction in your area. How did that come about? Who's the best person to talk about it? Is that Paul or James or Joanna?
That'd be me. So,
Okay.
let's start with this awkward phone call that I got as we got home from Rose City Comic Con, just exhausted. And all I heard was Ghostbusters and Sony on the phone when they called me. And I thought it was a prank at first. And I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, oh, what franchise are you calling from? Where are you calling from? They're like, oh, Sony and Ghostbusters. I'm like, wait a second, hold up. And so that's how that got started with that phone call. And they told me about this, what's going on with the Vacasa, that they were partnering with Vacasa. And it was a consultant group that was working with Sony Ghost Corps. That's how they got our information. And with Vacasa. And so I wasn't allowed to say anything and the team just quite yet until we all signed NDAs. And about, all the stuff and what they wanted to do. And I was so excited to tell the team that I was giving the vaguest details as possible. And I'm telling everyone, you have to sign the NDAs. I cannot tell you what's going on, but you're going to want in on this. And I got Paul's information. He stopped by our booth at Rose City Comic Con and passed along his information to a member of ours who was working. I wasn't there yet. And I said, all right, I'm going to bring this. They wanted Ecto. Let's bring Paul on and let's get him involved. And that's how we got that going. But it was awesome talking to the guys. They were really, really nice. And I was just so excited. I couldn't wait to tell the team about it.
I mean, I could imagine how crazy that phone call is to be like, okay, well, this is what everybody dreams about. Somebody wants to work with us and they want to work really hard to help us with our franchise. What level of involvement did you have with? Because there's certain things here when I'm looking at it, like, and we had a little bit of a conversation on our last podcast. We were actually going over this a little bit in depth. How much of this is photoshopped, and how much of this is like actually set up?
It is really set up. So they had props come in and things like that. Our team donated most of the proton packs, PKE meters. I made 10 gallons of slime. I in big old buckets. So the special effects, obviously, they did. The book stacking was actually there. The containment unit in person was awesome. James and other members almost cried. I'll let them share their experience. So the belt gizmos are ours. So our team really donated a lot of the gear. But props came in and did a great job. And the props department that they had was so nice. They were really, really great.
Awesome. Yeah. So like this is like a real photo here. So like when you walk in, everything here looks the same. Like Janine, like the desk here, the computer and everything, like that's it, the
That was
picture is so good that it's like I don't know if that's what it actually looks like or not.
It
I
does.
would say it looked just like that. Wouldn't you, Paul?
That's
Yeah.
a great relief because when I first saw these photos and I saw the starburst here at the top, I was like, well, okay, well maybe this is like kind of put together, but
I mean, they did a great job editing, but it was all there.
okay, and that's why we brought you guys on for confirmation of how awesome it is. Have you guys talked about any of the rules that there are for like so like if you're staying there and I go to this locker, would they be allowed to just like put a uniform on?
So I can't confirm or deny, but as far as my understanding is that the props that are there, they can put on.
Wow. See, I was thinking it was going to be behind, like museum glass. And it was going to be like you could see it, but
So our proton pack, so in the corner on the floor, that's one of our members' packs, and
yeah.
those aren't going to be there to try on.
Mhm.
We did get all of our props out of there, but I do believe that they do have spirit packs and things like that for people to put on.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, because I've been in the Alphabet District. I've been on 24th Street, and like I've been up and through there. And to think that there's a Ghostbusters firehouse sitting there right now is the craziest thing ever. Paul, when they asked you to get the ecto in, I mean, what did you think first of all? And where did your journey start even in with this? And how did you? Find the car? How did you get it? What happened there? I mean, if you didn't know the Portland Ghostbusters and you weren't a part of the franchise, I mean, what leads you to just say, I'm going to go do this?
So for probably about the last 6 or 7 years, my wife and I have done cosplay. So we've been Deadpool and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Green Arrow, Ghostbusters, obviously. We've done Star Wars, different things like that. So kind of played with the idea of continuing more into Ghostbusters and getting together with, different groups. And I came across the car on Craigslist and I ran out to my wife when she got home that day and I said, look, can I have this? Can I have this? And she, reluctantly said yes. And I was able to go get that and start working on it. And it was quite the project when we picked it up. A bit of rust. There's still a long way to go. I've got most of the interior to finish. I've got several windows to replace. Nothing on the roof is really accurate. It's all just kind of, bubble gum, duct tape, and spit, but it all looks good. So it kind of got to the point where I've had it somewhat accurate. And then when we were at Rose City Comic Con just this last year, I stopped by their booth and I showed a picture off to one of their members named Jeff, and he took down my information, and then they got a hold of me later and said, hey, Vacasa's, or rather, we can't tell you much until you sign this NDA as well. So they had me sign the NDA, and I got the information. They're like, "This is what we want to do. Are you up for it?" And I had a couple of small rules, like nobody will drive the car but me. But apart from that, yeah, I'm down. So it was really thanks to them that they got a hold of me and brought me in on this project.
That's incredible. But I still want the question answered a little bit here, okay? Because I've talked to a few people who we just recently actually had a member in the Ghostbusters of San Antonio who joined, and he has possibly the most screen accurate pack I've ever seen. It's it's out of metal. The thing weighs probably 55 pounds, and every inch of this thing is perfect. And he didn't even know the group existed before he joined. What made you decide you were just good? I mean, the investment, the money, what did it take to build that ecto? I mean, it takes a little bit of convincing. It takes a little bit, there's some, it's more than elbow grease. There's some mental grease involved in getting that a purchase approved.
Yeah, I've always been a fan and wanted, that car. I mean, you could have asked me, a dozen times as I was a kid growing up, what's your dream car? And I would have told you it was the Ecto One. So I wanted to build one for years, and I found a car that looked close enough. I mean, mine's a 1962, as we all know, the one in the movie is a 59. So there are some subtle differences. But I had the want to build one because I thought it'd be fun to take to different Comic Cons and everything. And really, we were thinking if I had a car to, build something like that, we'd want it to do something. So figuring if we had the opportunity to take it to different parades or different cons and support different charities, one that we really like to support is St. Jude. So that was kind of the drive behind, okay, let's get it done, get the name out, and have some fun with it. Even if it's not 100% accurate, it's, a recognizable facsimile,
And you did an incredible job. And being an Oregonian myself for a decade, I grew up in Virginia, but I lived in Portland, Oregon for the last 10 years up until this one that I had moved here. There's another organization involved a little bit. Was that the Sandy Ghostbusters? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, that's just me. I figured if I've got the car, we'd call it Sandy Ecto One because we live out in Sandy. And started a Sandy Ghostbusters chapter, and that's nothing official. We haven't registered with Ghost Corps or anything. It's just more of an unofficial
Yeah.
title for the car.
Yeah, and do you know what makes you official? Is trying hard and making something really cool. Who cares if Ghost Corp? I mean, I love Ghost Corp, and I know you guys have worked with them recently, but what makes you legit is just trying hard, right? Um, and so, are you gonna kind of link up with PDX there? It seems like you guys have a new sort of chapter brewing between the three of you guys.
We've discussed that we would partner together, and I've put their information on the back of our business cards so that we can, keep in contact. And I've joined them on their different platforms so that I can keep track of their events as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I was, Joanna and I've talked a little bit about what their rookie program is like. So I might join in and run through their rookie stage and become a full-fledged member of theirs, but still have this small little pocket of our family out here.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it is actually Joanna and James are doing a good thing because even if you have an ecto, every member has to go through the initiation period if you're going to get patched in. It's an important thing. So in San Antonio for us, it's like you have to attend 3 events in suit. You have to be actively involved in 3 events. For the Portland Ghostbusters, what's the criteria to get patched into you guys?
So our criteria is you have to spend at least 1 year in the rookie period.
Wow.
And you do attend two busts, which are what we call uniformed events, and attend 2 meetings. And in terms of starting membership, all we require is that you have a flight suit with your name tape and no ghost patch. And that's all you really need to start out with.
So it's like you're invested enough for us to think we could take you seriously. We can count on you to come to events. But let's say I join the Portland Ghostbusters and I knock out those 4 things, and in 6 weeks. So I still have to wait the rest of the year before I can take off the rookie patch.
Yes, yes.
I like that actually. I mean, I like the stern rules a little bit. Yeah, you got to be
Yeah.
invested before we
You need
take
a little
these
skin in
seriously.
the game, is what I like to say.
What was that?
You need a little skin in the game.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You gotta prove that you're invested enough to work through this. And if you get in that year, then we can count on you and we can trust you to show up. That's good. I like it. So we have a lot of chapters on. We do chapters every week, and we don't get into some things that I'd like to all the time, and that's group politics. So if a change needs to be made inside of the Portland Ghostbusters, is there a voting process all the way down? Is it really just up to you guys? Do you take opinions of the members? How does the Congress work over there at the Portland Ghostbusters?
So it's kind of an amalgamation of a few different things. We had originally had a board, and then we had some issues with the board about 4 or 5 years ago, and essentially their membership said, to Joanna and myself, we trust you and we don't really need to have a board, so you guys can go ahead and run things. So we're co-presidents, but we also do have a board as well of leadership positions, and we if things need to change, we present them to the board and we discuss it, and if it's something major, then we'll bring it to the membership and say, hey, this is what we're proposing. Are there any objections to this? Does anybody have any ideas on how to make it better or easier? We want people's opinions. We don't want this to be something that it's just, I tell everyone, this isn't my group, it's our group. I want us all to be and all have fun.
But but that's cool though, and like the reason why I asked these opinions of groups, you guys have been around for 10 years, right? A decade?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of the groups we've talked to, we've had some that have been around as longer than you guys, and we've had others that started 3-4 months ago. And everyone's just trying to figure out like their way of doing things. So anytime I have a group that's that seniored and tenured in this game, I love to just ask how you guys have kept it afloat that long, because that's what we want to do. Longevity is important. So I didn't mean to get political there on how you deal with things, but I think it's important for the groups that are a little bit newer to kind of hear how one that's been running for so long has done so well. And especially with this opportunity, blessings come your way with a little bit of structure and a little bit of try hard.
And James is actually a co-founder of our team.
Well, nobody has ever looked more like a co-founder in their life than James.
I co-founded the group in 2012 with and I'm sure a lot of people probably know him from, what was it? The Lego show that was on a few years ago. Brickmasters.
Oh, that's an awesome show.
Yeah, he was one of the contestants. I think it was the Bearded Builders is what his team name was. And recently he actually got offered a job at Lego. So, but we always tell our members when they move away, you're Portland Ghostbusters for life. So don't take the patch off. You are, when you come back, you are welcome back. We don't boot people out of the group for moving away.
That's incredible, guys. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not jealous. I should say that's the wrong word. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm a little bit disappointed I didn't take my journey a little bit earlier, because I would have loved to have met you guys and definitely worked with you guys for at least the year that I was there, because Portland is a beautiful city, and don't believe everything you hear in the media. Portland is a very reasonable place. And it's a beautiful place. And this Northwest district that this hospitality stay from Vacasa is positioned in is an incredibly beautiful part of town. And I encourage anyone who has the ability to, possibly, I don't believe it's going to be for $20 a night. But if you can get there when you can get there, get a group of friends together and come out and stay. And that's another question that I had for the group here. And obviously, I know there's some politics involved. I don't want you to cross any NDAs, but what is the stay function? How long is it going to be there, if you know? And what's a reasonable amount that a group would think that it would cost?
Do you want me to answer that? Or do you want to answer it?
You spoke with them. So
It
what
is just for the weekend of Halloween.
Oh, it's only that weekend.
That weekend only. It's gonna be basically a lottery. Whoever gets it on the 21st, first come, first serve for $19.84 a night, not including the Vacasa fees. And hold on, sorry, our son
No,
is
it's okay.
out.
No, yeah. You're just recreating the Oscar scene from Ghostbusters 2. You're
Exactly.
making sure that a witch doesn't come on a bicycle and take him away. And I commend you for being a good mother there.
And so, yeah, it's just this once in a lifetime opportunity that we spent, a couple days helping out with, and yeah, the reason it's $19.84 is because that's the year Ghostbusters came out.
Yeah, which is awesome.
So that is why they did that. It's just for promotional stuff. And then I believe there's a portion of something going to volunteer firefighters. So
Hell
the
yeah.
charity that they are donating the funds to, plus other expenses, is going to be to the volunteer firefighters.
That's so cool. And so I would have to assume, are you guys in talks with these guys to be like, hey, you don't really want to pay to move this stuff out of here. We'll give you this for that computer or Janine's name tag or anything. Are you guys negotiating with them? Like, can we keep any of this?
So we were invited to basically strike the set after the stay is done. We don't know how much we're able to get and what. Sony obviously has first pick, but we have been invited to basically take what we like.
All right, so here's the deal. I'm flying back to Portland, and I'm going to be there with you guys, just as mental support. If you want to hand anything off, I will totally be willing to just accept that and then fly it back, whatever shipping charges are involved. But yes, please consider me for that moving forward. And but that brings me to the sponsor of the show. And if you are a Portlander, if you are an Oregonian, and you are in the Multnomah Village area, that's where I used to roam. That was my old area. And one of my best friends owns a dispensary there called Multnomah Greens. That's today's sponsor is Multnomah Greens in Multnomah Village. And if you want to get your dispensary on, then go check out Kenny, the owner at Multnomah Greens, and go check that out. I'm an Oregon boy. I'm actually missing it hella bad. Yesterday, I'm here in San Antonio. It's 59 degrees outside, and it's raining for the first time probably since I moved here about a year ago. And I just, I started playing the Oregon Ducks theme song, the fighting song. I was just like, this is what I've been missing a little bit because the sun has been hitting us so heavy. What's the weather like for you guys right now? Is it good? Is it bad?
Well, it's about
Great.
today.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. I checked the temperature. Temperature 60 degrees. Wow. Maybe it was cooler or warmer on the east side, but
It was like 76 today, but it's super smoky from the fires and things like that.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I don't miss. My mother came to visit. I think it was 2020 or 2021. I can't remember. There was a really bad fire. There was a bad fire both years. But anyways, either one. It was one of those times during COVID. My mom came to visit us, and my mom's a little country woman from Virginia. And so she's in this big city of Portland, and she's already got her eyes wide. And we go out to the Willamette Valley Vineyards, kind of out towards the reserve golf course. And when we went out there, it was super clear. As we were driving back, it was smoke and crazy. We get back to my house, and the power goes out. She has to fly out in the morning and can't curl her hair. And she was freaking out. So it sucks that the fires hit you guys again. Is there a time when... Did they have a timeline on when that might be resolved?
I don't know, but it's something that seems to hit us every year about this time. This is later in the season than usually we get.
It's usually like midsummer, right?
Late August, early September. A few years ago, we had it for like almost 2 weeks straight. It looked like it was foggy out, and it was just the smoke from the wildfires.
Yeah, I remember I couldn't even walk my dog at some points. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't even allowed to take him outside. But regardless, Portland's a beautiful area, and definitely go check it out. Even if this vacation stay isn't going to be there, but has it inspired you at all to, as you drive by it and looking at the ghost sign outside and knowing what's in there, to say, um, we want to, maybe invest in some property and open up a firehouse ourselves? I've been thinking about that here in San Antonio. I would drive by some buildings. I'm like, boy, I could turn that into a cool little firehouse.
It definitely has. I mean, the expense is something that is always in mind. But we talked with leadership, and we've been thinking that it's time that we look for a headquarters that we can keep gear in, that we can do building workshops, because we try to do prop building workshops whenever we can. We can have meetings there, even do like birthday parties, because we do a lot of birthday parties, or we did before COVID.
Really?
Yeah. No,
And we don't charge for appearances for birthday parties. We are 100% donation based.
That's what our group was thinking about doing too. And then we had another idea of, like on a donation basis as well. But how many kids in a given metropolitan area are afraid of ghosts and have trouble sleeping at night? I kind of want to start a service where we just kind of show up to the house. The parents call us, and we show up at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Nothing crazy, just during the day. And the Ghostbusters go up into the kids' closet or whatever they're afraid of, and we take care of the problem, and then we leave. And then and in their head they're gonna think, oh my gosh, okay, they took care of the problem, and now I can sleep well at night. And because the kids still believe in us. So like when I do events, and maybe you guys have seen this too, and often there's other cosplayers involved. So I've been at events with Batmans and Supermans and Spider-Mans, and Elsas or whatever else you could think of. The Ghostbusters always get a different reaction because even a 5-year-old kid knows that that's not Superman, or they know that that's not Spider-Man. They know that it's not really them. They're still excited to see them, don't get me wrong. But with the Ghostbusters, there's always a sense of like, does that work? Like,
Yeah.
are you guys real? There's a little bit of a different element when it comes to a Ghostbuster cosplay. Do you guys run into that at all?
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just walking around in my flight suit at Target after a bus a few days ago, and I was getting stopped by kids like, Ghostbusters! We love Ghostbusters! And they were so excited. And I didn't have my pack on at the time, but we get, all the time, does this work? What does this do? Oh my gosh, and they'll tell us stories of experiences they've had. Or actually the autism walk in August, a little boy with autism was so sad that we didn't have Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and cried. And then and just loved James, and at the end says, when I grow up, I want to be like you. And give a hug.
That's so sweet.
That there's, they might not be afraid of ghosts, or they believe, and they're, and like I said, they're not afraid. And we'll get people like that just come up to us. How cool is that? You're a Ghostbuster, and oh my gosh, I want to be like you. So we do have junior members on our team as well. And after birthday parties, we do give them a junior member certificate and invite them to suit up and help us out on bus, and have their parents, their parents don't have to come along. And we've had kids who are junior members do slime making and pass out flyers and things like that. So we definitely get them involved if that is
For
something
sure.
they want to do.
And you guys live in Spook Central. I mean, it's it's foggy, it's cold. I mean, it feels like fall a lot of the year. So I imagine that, I mean, you guys can maintain a little bit more relevancy throughout the year than some other folks can. You know what I mean? Like for example, San Antonio is pretty sunshine and happy all the time, and so I've been trying to partner with some local ghost tours to say, hey, in your off season, maybe we could do like a little commercial where the ecto pulls up outside and we do a bust and we like verify that there's ghosts there, right, with the PKE meters or whatever. I know that there's a bevy of ghost tours in Portland. Have you guys thought about going that route at all, or have you talked to any of them?
So we try to keep a pretty firm line between what we do and paranormal investigation, just because
Yeah.
people who call us and they'll say, my house is haunted, I need somebody to come out and you know, like we kind of, I mean, Joanna and I kind of have a foot in both camps, so we have people that we can recommend that they go to. The closest thing that we do as sort of a crossover is we do the Oregon Ghost Conference in the spring, and we sponsor the kids zone there. So while the adults are, taking classes or watching lectures, the kids can be in the kids zone and they can make slime. Or we've got a marshmallow shooter that they can shoot Slimer with. They can get their picture taken in front of Vigo, and we've got, crafts that they can do, and we'll do Ghostbusters story time. And so that's sort of what how we do that melding of it. We want to make sure that we're not promoting ourselves as actual paranormal researchers.
But that's a hilarious thing, James, because we've had several chapters on, and I have heard some crazy stories of like people calling up the local Ghostbusters chapter to be like, my dead husband is haunting this house. And like they actually expect you to be like a real paranormal investigator, but it's like this is just a cosplay like entertainment charity group.
So our friend Rocky Smith, who does do ghost tours, has asked us to come suited for his ghost tour, as doing the entertainment factor for that, and that we have said that we would do, because he's inviting us. But like
we just want to, if we do something like that, we want to let people know, like, well, this is clearly, whatever you feel about the paranormal, what we're doing is clearly make believe. So, and I think a few years ago, I even got a Facebook message from a local news organization who wanted to do a story on local hauntings. And I had to say, we're just a charity cosplay group. We don't actually investigate. But because we do have a foot in both camps, I can say, but I can recommend this group to you. They're very knowledgeable. They're a good research group. I would recommend that.
And you were in studio when they did the interview for that.
Yes, I passed it on to some colleagues, and they invited me to come as a paranormal researcher, not as a Ghostbuster. So I gotta take the coat off when I'm doing the paranormal research part, so people don't think that I'm actually coming in to bust ghosts.
But that's funny though, because it's a fine line. Like if you were to poll, let's say we were to do a poll on 100 adults in the Portland metro area, and you were to ask them if Superman is real, 100% back, maybe 99% will come back and say, no, of course not. That's not real. If you were to put out a poll for Spider-Man, Batman, anything, it would all come back, there would be one crazy out there, but 99% of it would come back as no. But there is a large contingent of adults in America who still believe in ghosts. And so it's actually pretty interesting how that works, because I attend a lot of Comic-Cons, sometimes as media, sometimes as a cosplayer, whatever it might be. But the Ghostbusters thing is kind of funny because even adults still believe in ghosts. And so sometimes that comes back, and I don't take the calls for Ghostbusters San Antonio, so I don't know how many of those calls that we get, but I would assume that we get quite a few as well of someone being like, "Hey, do you guys actually do this, or is this like a joke?"
Yeah, and that's pretty much how the calls go. They'll ask, like, "Are you really doing this, or is this a joke?" I'm like, "Well, no to both. It's not a joke, and we're not really doing it."
But you know what I mean? Like the Batman cosplayer doesn't have to worry about the mayor throwing a bat signal up in the sky at
Yeah,
any point. He
I,
doesn't
I
have to worry about.
I think that's kind of the appeal of the Ghostbusters, though, is that if you dress up like, and I'm totally cribbing off of one of our members, and if he's watching, he'll probably realize, like, I said that last year. If you go to Comic-Con as Batman, people go, "Oh, he's supposed to be Bruce Wayne or Batman." He's Superman. "Oh, that's Clark Kent or Superman." If you go as a Ghostbuster, you can put your own name on there. There we go. That side, own name on it,
Yeah.
and it's you. And that was really the appeal of the films, is that they were scientists, but they weren't superheroes. They were everyday people, and you can just be yourself. You don't have to be like the muscular ideal in the tight spandex suit. You can just be yourself as a Ghostbuster, and it's kind of neat.
And in fact, it's a little encourager rough around the edges, right? Like if you have a bunch of Ghostbusters at a con, there's probably going to be, it's going to be a little bit more fun. It's going to be a little bit more rough around the edges. It's not always PG.
Yeah, yeah. We try to stay PG at cons, but
Yeah.
after con we'll usually all go out for a meal and a drink.
Oh, for sure.
Have a conversation, and then we can get a little less PG.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things about cosplaying at cons is I love doing the cons. I love interacting with the people for sure. But us all deciding in the parking lot to ascend upon a random restaurant where you pull up front with the ecto and the lights blaring and you just walk in and everybody has suits and packs on, like that's actually one of the really more fun parts of it to me. And we have the river walk here in San Antonio. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a beautiful walkway of restaurants and bars, and it's all along the river. It's a little bit below street level, so it's nice and shaded all year. And sometimes I'll just put the whole kit together and just go walk it and just get people's reaction. Do you guys ever just go out at a non-planned event and just suit up and say, "Hey, I'm here"?
So I mean, to a non-planned event, not as much, and that's for Joanna and myself. It's usually because this is our busy season, and when we don't have to suit up, we don't do it.
We have 11 events.
I agree. This time of year for sure.
So I will say this, and that is I got a free beer dressed up as a Ghostbuster one time, and they were showing Ghostbusters at Flicks on the Bricks at Pioneer Courthouse Square, and there were three of us, and we showed up, and we didn't announce ourselves. We were just going to go in costume to watch the show on the big screen. And as soon as we showed up, people started lining up to get their picture taken, and without even asking us, the announcer gets on there and says, like, "Come on down and get your picture taken with the Ghostbusters." And I was like, they're just acting like we were there for them, and it's like, no, we're not doing that. But on the way home, and it was so funny because I lived in the Pearl, so I walked back to my apartment, and I passed this sports pub, and there was a group of people, and this guy in the window, and he wasn't really paying attention. He was talking to somebody, and he looks out the window, and he literally looks out the window and goes like this, and then goes. And I'm like, all right. So I walk in there, and he had to climb, because he was at the window seat, had to climb over all these people to get out. And he's like, "Oh my God, this is the most awesome thing. There's a Ghostbuster here." And he bought me a beer, and it was like, oh,
hell yeah.
I'm not going to turn down a free beer. So there you go.
Paul, what have you been offered with the Ecto? And do you keep it in the garage? Do you leave it out in the driveway? Where do you store this thing? And do you get odd looks from your neighbors?
Actually, my neighbor across the street likes to take pictures and post them on social media and post updates to her own friends. It actually stays in my driveway in a pole tent because it's too long to fit in my garage.
Really? Paul, send me where can I find a picture of this so I can share it with everybody?
Just my Facebook page.
On your Facebook page? Okay, let me pull it up real quick. Keep talking about it, and I'm going to get it pulled up here because it's a beautiful rendition of the Ecto, and I love it. Paul Stevenson, friend. Let's go to. Oh, look at this! Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so hold on. Let me share this over.
It's
And
20 and 9 feet tall, so it won't fit in my garage with the rack on it.
I mean, hold on. Let me get this set up right. Look at this, guys. I mean, and here's everybody. Here's the whole team in front of this Vacasa firehouse. I couldn't imagine walking through Northwest right now and seeing that sign. It would blow my mind because I've walked that street so many times, and I just hope that everybody kind of gets how cool that is to just have popped up into your community. But look at this Ecto. So what year is this one? Is this a millimeter or what year is it?
It's a 1962 Superior coach.
Okay, but it's very similar, huh? But
It's
except
very
for the tail.
like right behind the back doors, and the front end probably about a foot past the door. From that center section is exactly the same. So the 4 feet at the back and the 2 feet at the front are the things that are really different about the car as far as styling cues from 59 to 62.
Okay.
And
I mean,
so the people you see in the vehicle is Paul driving, obviously, and then Michael is in the front passenger seat. He's one of the leaders on the team. James is in the middle seat, facing rear.
I'm facing rear back to the driver.
And then Jason Groshov, who actually designed our patch, is in the back.
wow.
Jason's
And
back there.
it's a beautiful rendition, and I'm not even going to get into how much it costed because I think I have an idea, at least a ballpark, and the IRS and the feds are watching. So I just want to keep that absolutely silent. But I commend you very much for your purchase, and I also think that it's going to pay off here sometime in the future because we have a lot of content coming from the Ghostbusters here in the next few years. We just had a game release yesterday, right?
Yes.
We have the VR thing coming. We have the mall sort of virtual reality thing coming as well, where you can drive the Ecto and you can train as a Ghostbuster. We're guaranteed a movie. We're guaranteed 2 animated shows and an animated movie in the Ghostbusters world. What did you guys think about Afterlife, and what do you think about the franchise moving forward? Like, what are you most excited about from the news that we have? Anybody can go first.
I mean, I loved Afterlife. I cried like everyone else who watched it. It was awesome. It met all my expectations and more. And I'm really excited to see, how the next one unfolds and just get, really get the kids involved. I think it's great.
I think so too. What about you, Paul?
I loved Afterlife. I thought it was great. My brother and my cousin and I and a few other friends took the Ecto over to the local theater here the night it came out and went and saw it all together. And I was only cringing at scenes where they jumped the Ecto in the freaking movie, and I'm like, no, I don't want to see that. Because I know in real life, if I did that with my car, it would just.
Yeah. And what about you, James? What do you think?
I loved it. I think, like everyone else, I cried at the end. Ghostbusters has always had such a special part of my childhood. It just felt really good to see Harold Ramis get an official send-off like that, and it's I guess,
agree.
Kind of maybe ironic that we lost Ivan Reitman at the beginning of the year, and he was the body double for Harold Ramis in the scenes of the later part of the film. So it was good. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to what's coming next. I have no idea what's coming next, what Firehouse is, or what the animated shows are going to be, but I'm always down for more Ghostbusters stuff. And I'm going to be getting the game because that looks just awesome. I generally don't like those 4v1 games, but this looks really cool. So
Yeah. Well, the ghosts, I can tell you from experience, the ghosts are a little bit overpowered. I was in a stream last night with the Oklahoma City Ghostbusters, and one of the guys was, I mean, he could enter the world championships at this point of ghost playing. We could not bust him. It didn't matter what we did. The game is actually pretty difficult, but I can say it's very immersive and it's very fun to play. And I'm going to eventually try to get every of the chapters that signed on to join us on the show. We're going to do like a bracket style tournament of Spirits Unleashed, where maybe we play a ghost as the AI, but the highest score sort of wins, and have a prize for that at the end. I'm thinking I know the prize for the last tournament I did was a proton pack. It was the deluxe Spirit Halloween proton pack. So I'm going to think of another prize there, but it would be legit if you guys would join in and play a little bit. I think it's one of those games you could just kind of pick up and play. You don't have to be incredibly good at video games to just sort of get in there and figure out what to do. What about you, Paul? You going to get the game?
I might. My son, he's 18. He has a PS4, so he and I have been talking about getting a hold of it, and he'll show me how to work that thing.
Yeah, man, that'd be sick. So we're approaching the end of the show, and I know that Joanna and Paul, you're here with me now, and here we go, James. So I was trying to get it while James was out, but I was saying you guys join us down here, and we just leave James out of this whole thing. But I'll save that for later. I'm just kidding. But we are doing a toy drive this year. A national toy drive, and every chapter that we've had on so far has agreed to join in with us on the toy drive. So what we're going to do is basically through the second week of November to the second week of December, you set up a toy drive, and we gather toys for the kids. It doesn't matter who it's going to. It goes to anybody in your local community, but we want everybody involved in doing all of this at the same time. And if we get 20 chapters, I think we could do about 10,000 to 15,000 toys. And I'd love that to go to foster kids and a few needy families in all of our areas. And I was wondering if you guys would hop in with us and be one of the groups who signs up, and we can all tally this together and say, hey, this is what these chapters were able to raise for the kids this year. Would you guys do that with us?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important that this time of year, because actually as Ghostbusters, if you count Ghostbusters 2 as one of the best movies ever, I certainly do. We have from Halloween to New Year's to be effective. And it's relevant to be a Ghostbuster at Christmas. It's relevant to be a Ghostbuster at New Year's. It's relevant to be a Ghostbuster at Halloween. So taking this time to do that is incredibly important. I'm also, and I appreciate you guys for joining in, by the way, I'm going to add your patch to the flyer here. But I would love, I'm putting together a jacket. I have a jacket that looks like it goes on a flight suit. And I'm putting, and you can see some of the patches behind me here. I'm going to cover the entire jacket in patches from all across the country. And then I'm going to work with Ernie Hudson to have it signed. And then we're going to auction that off for charity as well. So if you guys have an extra patch laying around, and you could send it over, I would love to have it and then add it onto the jacket. And then we'll have Ernie sign it. And imagine how sick like a khaki bomber jacket would be, just covered in the chapters from all across the United States, and then auction it off. And I think we could pull 1,500, 2K and just donate it straight to a charity of everyone's choice. We'll put up a poll and see what they want to send it to, and we'll do that. Could you guys send a patch over?
If you send me the mailing address, I will put a patch in the mail this week.
My gosh, guys, you're so caring. I love you guys, and I want you to know that because I admired you before I met you, and I just want everyone to know how good of an organization that the PDX, the Portland Ghostbusters, are. One of the illest logos in the game. So make sure that you go and check out right now. Open up a new tab and go to facebook.com. Look up the Portland Ghostbusters and go and follow them. Give them a like because they're a very cool franchise, over a decade old at this point, and this is the type of leadership that we need. Look at that patch, guys. No, seriously. The rose petals with the thorns coming over to it's, to me, it's the best patch in the game. Look how cool that is, chat. Throw it in there and let them know. But you guys are awesome, man. I admire you guys to the fullest extent. So I hope that you guys keep it going. I hope that this Ghost Corp's coming to Northwest Portland gives you guys a lot of momentum. And I hope you take that as a success thing. Like, hey, what we're doing is working, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to increase franchises because we're the ones who kept this shit going in the 30-year, 40-year drought that we had. Okay, from '84 up until 2016, there was nothing. So the
shout out to someone at Ghost Corps that gave Vacasa our information. Shout out to Eric Reach, who is part of Ghost Corps. He was a producer on Afterlife. Thank you so much for giving Vacasa our information. You're amazing. So thank you.
That's awesome. And so once again, I just appreciate you guys so much. I thank you for coming on to the program, giving some folks some insight as to what's going on with this day and what it actually is. I think you guys are the first person to just let us know what it is, because I think a lot of people were looking at plane tickets to Portland because they were like, how long is this thing going to be here? So thank you for that. And Paul, a champion, a true champion. Anybody who purchases a vehicle and turns it into an ecto is immediately, I don't know, a god in my mind. I mean, come on. You did something very cool, and it takes balls to do that, and ovaries. It takes balls or ovaries. It takes one of the reproductive organs to do that. And I'm so glad that you decided to, because your rendition of it is beautiful. And yes, and for the Ghosthead Radio Show, I'm Matty B. Again, hostless, as you could tell from the way the show went, but it's all good. We had a good time. We have Paul Stevenson, who of the Sandy Portland Ghostbusters, who made that ecto in the commercial that you've seen.
Yeah.
And then we have James and Joanna and baby Oscar. The name is Oscar now, so I'm sorry, but we have James and Joanna. Thank you guys so much for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, guys, check us out next Wednesday. We're going to be back on featuring another chapter. It'll be hard to top this one, but we will be back. And make sure you hit me in the DMs if you want to be a part of our live streams of Spirits Unleashed. We're going to have chapters that we featured. We're going to have fun guests all along the way. So make sure that you DM me for the info on our exclusive Twitch channel and Discord. But I love you guys, and have a great night.